Let's talk about the two kinds of conversations you're having in real estate. There are polite ones, and then there are purposeful ones. Because we just came off the July 4th holiday weekend, and I'm willing to bet you guys got asked some version of how's the market? And it's a loaded question. Sometimes it's merely small talk. The person asking may have had nothing more creative to say to the real estate agent at the party. And sometimes that could be your next client. It could be a serious buyer or seller trying to figure out what this market means for them. So, how do you know the difference? You don't answer faster. You upgrade that conversation. And that's what we're going to talk about today, how to upgrade the conversations that you have. Because if you answer, how's the market, faster than, say, a golden retriever retrieves, you've lost. You have lost a moment. You talk for 90 seconds and the person has honestly stopped listening to you after 5. You've lost a moment where credibility could have been built. And you do that enough times, you're training yourself to be interchangeable. You sound like the other 5 agents they ran into over the weekend. So let's talk about how to change that. Welcome to Renovating Real Estate. I'm Sandy McMaster, and each week here we renovate the way you very smart real estate operators think, decide, and execute. And we do that using the identity ops method because most operators never truly recognize what makes them different and then operationalize it. And that's what we do today. We are talking about the most common question in real estate and the most common mistake. Answering the question they asked versus the question that's behind it. Now let's start with the polite question, the one you hear constantly, which is, hey, how's the market, right? Most agents hear that and immediately reach for an answer. And I get it. Competent people like yourself, they want to be helpful. Competent people want to be accurate. Competent people want to prove they know what they're doing. And oh boy, was I guilty of that myself, especially early in my career. I was just dying to show you how much I knew about real estate. But that reflex is the whole problem, because how's the market is usually not the real question. It's a cue. It's not the real question. It's a cue. And you can use it that way. It's a person saying, without actually saying it, it's them saying, hey, I'm trying to orient myself. I'm trying to decide if I should do something. I'm trying to understand if I'm late, if I'm early, if I'm about to do something dumb. And if you respond with generic market mush, you're answering a question with something that nobody can use. So here's the first upgrade. I'm going to say it really slow. Don't rush your answer. Do not rush to answer. Instead, recognize it as a cue and upgrade the question. If they say, how's the market? You say, which one? Yours or everybody else's? Just let that sit for a second. Just let it sit there for a second, because it does something very, very important. It creates clarity without creating pressure for you or for them. It tells the other person, I am not going to just talk at you. I'm going to locate where you are. So I can orient myself, so I can be more useful to you. And then if you want an optional follow-up question that still sounds human and relatable, oh, are you just curious or is a move on the horizon? This is so powerful. And that's it. You're not interrogating. You're not, trying to qualify. You're doing it in a way that feels normal. And it saves you from making them sit through your 4-point plan or your real estate dissertation. Oh my God. I was very excited about real estate, and you probably are too. But first we have to understand where we are in this conversation, right? Now, here's the part that a lot of agents miss. And before you go deeper into any conversation, you have to remember who you're talking to, who is on the other side of you. Are they a customer or are they a client? Because it changes what they have earned to hear from you or learn from you. A client's hired you. They get your judgment, they get your analysis, and they get your all-important interpretation. They get reality, an inconvenient truth, something they may not necessarily want to hear, but they should hear, they need to hear. Yeah, they get that from you. That's what they're paying us for, right? But a customer has not hired you yet. And no matter how badly you want to show them how smart you are, they do not get your full analysis on demand in the middle of a party. However, they do get enough to feel your difference, enough to feel that you see things, enough to feel that you can lead and that you don't perform like a circus monkey the moment a whiff of business enters the conversation. So how's the market? Yeah, it's the same question, but those two people, they get a much different depth, right? So once you've upgraded from the polite conversation, you understand who's on the other side of you, you've gotten some kind of clarity. Now you can assess. Now you can do real work. You can move from general market mush to information that may actually move the needle for you and for them. You move from what's happening in the market to here's what's happening in your micro market right now. And here's how that changes your options. You move from is now a good time to good for what outcome? You move from current market trends to the downside they may have to live with. And that last one, that's where professionals really separate from performers. Performers just love to talk, but professionals are diagnosing from the very moment you lock eyes. So I want to give you 3 question upgrades that I use constantly. And this may not translate literally, but it may not serve as I don't mean this as a script, but it's more as a posture, more of how to carry yourself through the world. It just simplifies and clarifies what kind of conversation are you trying to have and with who? Who's on the other side of you? How much effort do you need to put into this? How much effort should you put into this? So let's go over them. Firstly, micro market clarity. What's happening here specifically right now? And that here is their here. If you happen to know the person on the other side of you is in a single family detached home, you know instantly what their micro market is. Maybe they live in a townhome. Maybe they live in a condo. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you ask. That's why you ask the question, which market? Yours or everybody else's? Oh, what do you own? Oh, you don't own yet. Oh. You can see the conversation starts to crystallize and clarify immediately. So it's about them. So their micro market. You can briefly talk about it, and you should be able to, is what I was thinking. You know, if you're out having these conversations, you need to be out in the world with a certain level of knowledge, and you should be able to talk about it on the fly. So that's number one, micro market. Second, leverage clarity. Now, in that micro market, who has the leverage in that arena? How do we use it? And you've got to instantly translate that to, okay, is this the client version or the customer version? Because obviously you're not going to go into depth about strategy, design on strategy with a customer in the backyard of a barbecue, but you get the idea. You could still generalize who has the leverage in that micro market. Okay. And the third upgrade, and probably the most important one as an operator, is downside clarity. And there's always a downside in any market. There's always a downside. What strategies fit timelines and trends? These are really great questions that you already know. If you're really an operator, you know real estate, you already know how to answer these questions. And they're much more interesting conversations to have with people who want to have them and need to have them. Talking about the downside of their situation or their market, oh, that's much more interesting than a national headline. It's much more relevant and it's much more useful. So it matters, protecting the downside. And it's why, you know, in the rise of AI, it makes these skills are the ones that become more valuable, not less. So if you are sitting in a dark corner rocking because of AI, it's okay. You can come out of the corner, okay? What people need from us is not more information. Information is everywhere now. We are all drowning in it. Consumers have the stats. They probably read how the market was on their phone 3 minutes before talking to you. What they need us for is interpretation, prioritization, timing decisions, risk management, calm leadership when emotional stakes are high. In other words, it's having the right conversations with an agent who can lead them. So here's the simple challenge for you this week. The next time someone asks you a market question or some version of how's the market, hold on, pause. That's a cue. Don't rush to answer. Upgrade it once. Which one? Yours or everyone else's? And then if you need it, are you just curious or is a move on the horizon? Because the agents who win next won't merely count conversations. They will be having conversations that count. It is absolutely the conversational separator and a way to be remembered as something more than just that real estate agent at the party. To read the full essay on this, you can head over to Substack, and to find out the tools behind Identity Ops, you can find that over at identityops.co. And if this episode helped, forward it, rate it, review it, only if you're nice and you have kind words. Forward it to a friend, because the right question at the right time, it could be like handing somebody a flashlight if they are in a dark room. rocking in a corner over AI. Don't worry, my friends. It's okay. Until next week.